So you're wondering, what are the signs to look for when we're talking about possibly replacing an electric wall oven? What could go wrong? The first thing to look at is going to be your display or your control panel, if you have an electronic control panel or an electronic display. If you start seeing your clock, the pixels or the certain digits not lighting up any longer, or you see buttons that aren't responding to commands any longer, you could see that being a bad touchpad or a bad control board or a bad user interface. Basically the brains of the entire operation, the computer of the machine. This is always going to be a very expensive repair. Anything electronics related is going to be expensive. Typically with wall ovens, the parts that are going to need replaced are the electronics, the touchpad, or the elements. That, for the most part, there are other things. But the first telltale sign is looking for a control panel that's unresponsive or a control panel that no longer illuminates everywhere that it should. Another thing you can run into when you're looking at your electric wall oven is you're seeing that your baking results or roasting results are inconsistent, or it's not cooking how it used to, or things are taking much longer than they used to. You could see this broil element up top or a bake element, which you can't see in most modern ovens. It's hidden by this porcelain base in the oven. You can tell which element is not working depending on how you set it. So put it on for just broil. If the oven gets hot, your broil element's okay. Put it on for just regular bake, and that's only going to be your bottom element. If you get heat there, that's going to be okay. If you put it on convection, that rear element should be heating the oven, and it should be okay. If you choose one of those three cycles and you're not getting up to temperature, or you're not holding temperature on any of those three, that can tell you what element that you're looking at replacing. And oftentimes, depending on the age of it, the average oven lifespan is somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 years, something along those lines. But realistically, with the price of parts, the price of labor, once you eclipse that 6 to 8 year line in the sand, so to speak, it really is a good idea to get a quote on what the repair is going to cost and compare that to what replacing it is going to cost. So to that point, how can you extend the life of your wall oven? Number one is avoid self-clean pretty much at all costs. Like these ovens today, they are all capable of it. They're tested to be able to do it. However, if an oven's going to fail, typically it's going to be when it's 800 degrees for 4 hours. That is what self-cleaning is. It is just incinerating everything. If you have to run self-clean, let's make sure we do it after the party or after the gathering, not before everybody comes over. And let's make sure we take our oven racks out. They are not made to be self-cleaned. There is only one brand out there that makes a self-cleaning oven rack. Let's always remove those when we're self-cleaning. But avoiding self-cleaning is always a good idea. Another thing that you can do is making sure that you're not opening and closing your oven door mid-cycle over and over and over again. A lot of people will call in to Don's Appliances and talk about, hey, I set my oven to 400 and while it's baking, it's taking way too long. I keep checking on the food and it's not getting up to temperature. Yes, the heat will escape when you open your oven door. But beyond that, you have locks, switches, latches, relays that this oven depends on, the lighting system included, when you open that oven door over and over again. So I'm not saying don't open your wall oven. I'm saying that while it's in cycle, it's best practice to try to leave that door shut and try to utilize the oven light feature. Most modern ovens are going to have a big window that is not as dark as ovens past, and it's a lot easier to see through. But avoiding self-cleaning, avoiding unnecessary use of the latching system and all those lighting relays and things along those lines, those are good best practices. If you have to replace your wall oven, you could go to our website, you can come into our showrooms, but you need to be armed with the information of at least your current wall oven model number, at least. There are 3 different widths every wall oven can be, and then beyond that, you have a lot of different heights between single wall ovens, combination wall ovens, double wall ovens. So having that model number, typically, we're going to be able to pull up your old model, the old dimension cutout, and see what we're working with, because you are always going to be combating usually a storage drawer or a warming drawer appliance down below the wall oven, and then you're typically going to have cabinet doors of some kind above the wall oven. And even here in the showroom, we have very tight clearances in both directions. So it's really important to find out not just what the external dimensions of your wall oven are, but what their internal dimensions are. So If you have any other questions, if you want to learn more about wall ovens and the new ones you could purchase today if it really was needed, go ahead and log into donsappliances.com and shop with us.